and I'm sure you don't remember because I was just one of a big crowd, but I remember Barry talking about you a lot. And even, I think you lived somewhere else too before you were out here, right? Were you like in
Yeah, there were a couple times where
back east or something for a while?
I went to Boston for grad
Boston.
school.
Yeah. Yeah. He used to talk about you, during those days and everything. And he was so proud of you always. And, just it was so cute to see him talking about his daughter that way.
I really miss hearing everyone always say that, really, because every time I would see my dad, there would be someone that would come and say, "Your dad is so proud of you."
It's true. It's really true. He was so darling. Really cute.
Yes. Whenever he spoke
I
of
really
you.
miss seeing him and John together.
Yeah, me too. I tried to get John on today, but he had a little bit of a fall a few days ago and hurt his arm. So I don't think he's going to make it, or Jeannie. But yeah, so we're actually on live now, and I think what I'll do is just I'm going to play something that that let's see, I forget. It might have been Ted Mayer had posted at one point. It was let's see. It was an organ trio with Barry. So I'll just play that while oh, let's see. I see. Yeah, let me just play that and then I'll handle some stuff that's coming in. Woo! Swinging Barry, man.
A big crowd, but
was on organ, Cathy?
Um, I forget where I got this. Let's see. I'll go looking. Oh yeah, Bobby Pierce and Michael Rosen on drums. Da-da-da-da. Yeah. Woohoo. That was great. Great. Holy moly. So, hi, everybody. So,
That makes me cry, Cathy. I think this is just going to be me crying and you playing music.
ladies and gentlemen, Malika, what's your whole name?
Autumn Zweig Laddie. Hi, Jamie Rosen.
Hey,
So, we have
The Autumn,
Malika.
Autumn Zweig Laddie crying while we listen to.
Malika is Barry Zweig's beautiful daughter, who he was incredibly proud of and always talked about. And there's Larry Coons. Hi, Larry.
I'll unmute myself. Sorry, I feel incredibly rude having to eat. But this is the only time I have.
Lunchtime, it's
Right,
lunchtime.
I'm so sorry. But what was really striking about that as I was listening to Barry was thinking about when he was around, it always kind of felt like that beautiful presence that Jimmy Weibel had that just made you feel better about yourself. And as I was listening to this, I was remembering that quality that Barry had. Just made you feel better, just really had a beautiful smile, even when he was really sick, even when he was sick, when I was around him, it felt like I had a little lift, Jimmy always had that same quality for me too. And it's that is the mark, in my estimation, of a really great human being, successful life.
Yeah.
To bring that to the plate all the time. So anyway, I was just thinking that about Barry. I love him.
That's so cool. And of course, John Pisano is like that too,
John,
right? Totally.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
how old is John now?
I'm not sure.
95, maybe?
92,
I
you
think
think,
that's
John?
I think that's
Is that
right.
right,
I think
John?
maybe 95. Yeah.
Or hi, Beth.
Hi, Larry.
So we got Beth Marlis,
Hi,
we got
John.
John
Jamie.
Story, Jamie Rosen, and Bruce Foreman just came on. Hey,
Ooh,
Bruce.
you're the swinginest people I know. Wow.
We're celebrating the birthdays of Barry Zweig and John Pisano like they always did. God, for I don't know how long they celebrated their birthdays together. I don't know, 50 years, maybe more. I don't know. They knew each other at least 50 years, right?
Oh yeah.
Maybe more, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, John turned, 92 yesterday, right?
Good
Is
job.
that, yeah. John Story, you're a little soft.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, yeah, 92. Pisano 92 yesterday. Yeah, crazy. That's a
Yeah.
good one. It's a good even number.
My friend Dan Davila has listed credits for Barry and for John, like on All Music, which is pretty cool. But I also, I'll probably do a little of this later, but I just wanted to read a little bit of their bios because, you just kind of, you don't see that, all the time. So Barry was born in Detroit in 1942. His mother, Diane, always had music playing on the radio and the record player. She loved the great songs of the immortal composers of the Great American Songbook, especially Gershwin, and she loved to sing harmony parts to the songs that came on the radio. She taught Barry to clap on 2 and 4 when he was a toddler. When she asked him what he wanted for his 5th birthday, he said a banjo. His folks gave him a Greek ukulele instead, and he played violin. I remember that. Hearing about that from the age of 8 until 18. Just before his 15th birthday, he heard guitar, jazz guitar. It was by Dave Pell playing Mountain Greenery, the octet. The arrangement had jazz and classical elements and a unique guitar part. So he bought his first guitar for $10. And then in '64, he was drafted into the Army. So got into NORAD in Colorado Springs. And then he studied there with Johnny Smith. And after his discharge, he got into the Buddy Rich Band. He played on 2 albums. I remember hearing that. There's one famous, super famous one with Sammy Davis Jr. That's a really incredible album. And then Sammy asked Barry to be in his band, and so he was with him for 14 months. Then in '68, he settled in LA. He recorded or played for Peggy Lee, Natalie Cole, Willie Bobo, Herb Alpert, Doc Severinsen, Ray Conniff, Henry Mancini, Andy Williams, Bill Holman, Don Ellis, Gene Estes, Abe Most, Dave Pell, Keely Smith, Al McKibben, Jackie Ryan, and etc. He was the guitarist for the Dinah Shore Show. That was a long time, 76 to 81. And he taught, at universities. John Pisano, he emerged in the mid 50s. Let's see. Also playing for people like Herb Alpert, Sergio Mendes, Peggy Lee, Burt Bacharach, Frank Sinatra, Streisand. From 51 to 56, he played with the Air Force Band. And then he left and he did a 2-year stint with Chico Hamilton. And that's when he settled in LA. Mentions 2 brilliant recordings with the undersung guitarist Billy Bean, 1958's Making It and 1959's Take Your Pick. They were instrumental in cementing John's, great reputation amongst guitarists. Then in the 60s, he became like studio player and supported people in that. He developed a fast friendship with Joe Pass, and he appeared on 4 of his mid-60s recordings, including the classic For Django with Colin Bailey and Jim Hewitt. And then 65 to 69, he was in the Tijuana Brass. And he also recorded with Sergio Mendes, Brazil 66, worked with Burt Bacharach. He continued through the 70s. Then he started teaching. And let's see. This particular bio doesn't mention Guitar Night. But do you guys know when Guitar Night started?
I think was it 97?
So my guess would be like mid 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. And where was the first one held?
It's at Papa Shon's.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember that place?
Yeah, Ted and I played there, but I didn't think that was the first Guitar Night. I thought that was later.
I think that was the first place before it went to, Spazio's.
Oh.
And then,
Rocco's as well. I think
Rocco's.
Papa Sean and then Rocco and
Yeah.
then Spazio and Lucy's, right?
Well, it also was
right.
it was
right.
also in the basement of Vitello's for a second.
Oh,
before it went to
Vitello's, yeah.
Lucy's,
Right.
and then it was at Lucy's, and then it went
That's
to,
right.
of course, Viva.
What was Lucy's? I don't remember that.
It's
Lucy's
in
51.
towards the lake. Yeah.
The old money tree.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. That the sound was not good in there.
Yeah, it's a place now called Foreman's, funny enough.
I took over.
Bruce, what are
I
you up
took
to,
over.
Bruce?
Bruce, man,
You
you
make a
got
good
that.
burger there.
Yes.
It also had a short stint at this place in Pasadena that I've forgotten the name of.
That's what I was trying to think of.
Oh yeah. On
Yeah.
Colorado.
Real big.
Right in the middle of like Old Town Pasadena.
Really funny setup because it was long and narrow. You couldn't
Yes, that was a
Like-
weird
Like a
room.
middle, were they kind of in the middle of everything?
They were at the end of the room. Like the stage was large. When you walked into the room, the stage was all the way at the end, and then it was kind of narrow, right? Kind of narrow. Was that?
It wasn't the
Very
Pasadena
narrow.
Jazz Institute, was it? That was
No,
No. No, this was
But-
actually a club.
I remember this venue because I played there with Scott Colley probably in the 80s.
Oh,
And we got paid by Gene Stone, who had pinball machines, and he paid us with a roll of quarters.
Gene Stone.
$6 in quarters.
Oh, it was called the Mix.
Yeah.
Pasadena.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually remember going to a birthday party for John and Barry. You and your dad were there, and you got up and played. I remember.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember
I
that.
thought she was going to say you got up and played pinball.
Oh gosh. And we have some people checking in, like Paul Moody, and Barry played Inner Dialogue, an album I grew up with and still love to this day. Also played at Mom's Jazz Party a number of times. Right, Gene Moody's place down at the beach. Pierre Chambers, Dennis Alvino. Hi, Dennis. Ralph Humphrey is checking in to celebrate the great Barry Zweig. Yeah, so let's see. I was going to play a video of John and Barry. Why not? Since it's their birthday, and I found actually these from the store are really good. Have you guys seen these? Like Body and Soul, or I could do like one of the real guitar nights, Lady Be Good. What do you think? Anybody have an opinion?
Just whatever you want, Cathy.
Okay, I'm doing this. If we can hear it. Is this loud enough? I don't think so. Can you guys hear that?
It's pretty soft.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to do that one. Let's try Lady Be Good.
Kept the toothpick in his mouth the whole time.
Oh, yeah, right. Woo!
Yeah,
My dad would say it's the bass solo, so everyone can talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Oh boy, those guys. Anybody have a good story?
Malika, did you see how Barry at one point had both a toothpick and a guitar pick in his mouth? That's a first for me. That's
I heard when you said that about the toothpick, and it made me laugh because I remember, I mean, for years and years watching him, he would put his pick in his mouth. And then you know how what someone one time called his facials that he would make? He's doing that thing, and my mom says I'm never allowed to do it because I really look like him. He goes, but he has the toothpick and it's like flipping, and we're all like, oh, choke on the he would always say, like, and he related this to me in a way that it's the same for painting. He would say that you want to just completely forget about you being there and just let the music come through, and don't think about, and I think he was like way too good at that, because sometimes you'd watch him and he's like on the stool and he's like rocking and you're like, he's really gonna fall, and like he'll fall. He did fall. He would always like fall over and like run into things because he was so totally in the just the space of like the music, and totally let go of like the physical space. It had like no meaning, to him. So that's how I look at it anyway. Like he wasn't even aware of like these things that he would feel. And he would also do it with food. And my kid to this day laughs at this because like Giacomo got to see him do it where he would eat and it's like so good. He'd go, great. And everyone's like, we thought you hated it.
no self-consciousness about it. Yeah, I love that. We're both blessed with fathers, Malika, who don't really care about stage presence that much.
Your dad really reminds me so much of him,
Yeah.
But I mean, in that same, just in the pure, just like the purity and just so generous, giving of joy, and so totally, I mean, I think more my dad is like more to the fault of like having no self-consciousness, you're kind of like, could bring in he could have had a little more. But that was so great to hear them play like that, and hear John too. John is like, just, he's so cool. They were such a great blend, like.
But they also sort of, there was like a little of a rivalry. When you say, I mean, they were a little like Bert and Ernie in some ways, like Barry would always, like when John was playing too loud, Barry, and vice versa too. They had this wonderful relationship.
Yeah, I don't think he was having John Leftwich's bow at some point too. I mean, I think
could see it. You could see it. I love the
I remember.
I always wondered if they have this many guitar solos at bass night.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
When I met Barry, it was at Spazio, and he was at the top of the stairs, and I can't remember if it was John or somebody, but he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he had his little polytone Mega Brute or whatever, the tiny little one, and he like swung around with the thing and dropped it, and it went kaplunk, 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 kaplunk down those whole stairs at Spazio. So I'm standing there and I'm like about to shake his hand. This was literally like maybe the month after I moved here to start at USC. So all the USC guys, we carpooled up to Spazio. So I was like about to shake his hand. So I run to the bottom of the amp. I was like, "Oh, here, sir, your amp fell." And he was like, "Oh, it's fine. It's just a polytone. That thing, you can throw that thing down a flight of stairs. It's gonna work just fine." And what's your name? Oh, you're a guitar. Blah, 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 blah. So then we get into set up. He goes in to set up with John and they're in Spazio, and the amp's not working. It won't turn on. And so I think I had my Fender. I think I had an amp in the car, and we carpooled. And I said, "Man, I've got an amp. You can borrow my amp." And I went down and I got it and borrowed the amp, and that was always we would always spur at each other when I'd see him. I'd be like, "How you doing, man? How's that polytone? Still working? Still working after throwing it down those stairs? Did you ever get it fixed?" And I think one of the last times I saw Barry at Viva, we were joking about that again because he remembered that. And he was just like, "Damn, Tommy might have died, and now I can't get the amp fixed. Nobody will fix it." So he just, yeah.
Those polytones, if you look at them too hard, the reverb breaks.
Yeah. I just thought I was like, man, this is such a wacky team of players, man. Like it was really one of my first introductions to LA. Of course, Barry was super nice, but man, I was laughing so hard later about that whole experience, just because seeing that amp, that was a long flight of stairs in front of Spazio, and it went all the way down to the bottom.
Luckily, it wasn't him, and it was like at least he let go.
Yeah, and his reaction was like he'd done it a million times, and I think that was when I saw Pisano, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, we used to call Barry the Destroyer."
Yeah, and the Wrecking Crew. They called him a wrecking machine and the Wrecking Crew. Supposedly he once took out the entire trombone section of the Buddy Rich band, the horns and the stands.
Oh, you gotta love it. I mean, you just gotta love that about him also, that that was okay by him, all of that. He was so accepting of like that being a part of himself. He told me later that when he was 8 or 9 years old, like well into elementary school, maybe 10 years old, that they found out he needed glasses.
No, we don't need the light. Leave the light off.
Oh, you guys can mute if you don't. This is my look, Erwin. You have to say hi. This is my dad in New York. My dad absolutely loved both Erwin and Denise, just more than
we love Barry.
Relatives.
We love Barry. We miss him, and I grew up with him in Detroit, so we go back a long way.
Well, glad to have you here.
Oh, good. Okay, you can hear us, right? Okay, good.
We've been on from the beginning, but we
couldn't. I should have told you ahead of time to send me that link. So, okay, here I am.
Oh, I'm so glad you figured it out. It's very loose. It's all good. Just talking funny stories about my dad. Erwin, you, I'm sure, have, I was just saying, part of his whole, kind of hilarity in life was that he didn't know he needed glasses until way late in life, even though he told me he would be sitting in school and looking at the board like this to try to see. And I think a lot of that had to do with kind of that his whole sort of unusual depth of field situation,
Yeah, that's interesting.
No, I always remember growing up with Barry. I admired him so much because he was doing his gigs before I even knew what I was doing with my life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he started right away.
I
Right
remember.
in high school, he had an album.
Yeah, well, he bought his first guitar at what, age 15? Is that what it said? For $10? And then he played violin for several years.
Wow.
He started violin, I think, when he was 5. and he played violin first, and then he found the guitar to be really easy.
Yeah, after violin, maybe.
Oh, that's a tough instrument. Yeah.
Although you guitar players, man, no matter how old you are, you show up and see each other and you go, I just found this new voicing, which always cracks me up. It's like, after 50 years, wow, a new voicing to show.
The first time I met Barry was when I was first dating him, and we went to not Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and he was playing, remember, in Atlantic City? And oh, he was so nice. I was like, oh my God, I love your cousin. A musician, because my brother was a musician, so I was sort of related to musicians in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I had gone to Argentina for a gig, for like a week long, workshop and performance gig. And I had met this guy, Ricardo Lu, who had played guitar for everybody down there. And he came to LA, and I got, Larry, I don't know if you were there. I don't think any of you other guitar players were there, but so this was about 20 years ago, and Barry and John and Jeannie came, and I think Ron Anthony, and there a bunch of guitar players. My friend was in heaven because even though he had played for a lot of heavyweights in Argentina, he still was, he was, of course, in awe of the great guitar players in America. And he was in pig heaven, man. And everybody was so sweet and charming. And, you guitar players, man, you're so sweet and charming.
Malika, remember that time we were in LA for Barry's birthday? And he gave him those psychedelic pajamas.
Oh my gosh, I do remember that.
We were at your mother's house. Yeah. That was a fun night. Barry was like, he was in heaven. He's like, oh, psychedelic pajamas.
Do you want to play another video, Cathy?
Yeah. I have, let's see. I feel there's let's see, there's some, here's something interesting. I think this might be cool.
I'm Bob Baker with Jazz Guitar Today, and we are here. I can't freaking believe this. We're here with John Pisano. How are you?
Let me see if I can get a better.
Good. I've been looking forward to this. I hope I can.
This is not that clear, but oh, here we go.
John, I don't think there's anything you could do that wouldn't make sense. I just, for those of you who may not know, John is, I don't even know where to begin. He's one of the pillars of jazz guitar and certainly of the studio scene. But just to give people an idea, as a leader, you've got about a dozen records that you did back in, starting in 1958. You were with Herb Alpert. You wrote songs for Herb Alpert as well, but we'll go into that in a minute. You wrote Chico Hamilton, Fred Katz, Peggy Lee, Sergio Mendes, Joe Pass. That's nice to know. Some people that you've recorded with are Tony Bennett, Lenny Breau, Michael Bublé, Roy Clark, Natalie Cole, Sam Cooke. I'm going to keep going here.
Wow.
Michael Franks, Dan Hicks, Paul Horn. There's one down here I love, Diana Krall, the Limelighters, Manhattan Transfer, Barry Manilow. I mean, this list goes on. Howard Roberts, Diane Reeves, Jimmy. I mean, your list goes on and on and on and on and on. The reason this came about, or what really brought it to mind, is because Frank Vignola is doing a guitar night at Birdland in New York City. And the reason that guitar night exists is because the guy who books the shows, or the owner of the club, or whatever, is a huge fan of what you did all those years on the West Coast with your guitar night.
Yes.
And for people that don't know, can you talk about that a little bit? Can you talk about how guitar night got started out there? And
Well, it was rather interesting. Because sometimes I have to be pushed. And as I recall, we were working at Papachon, and they had several restaurants in parts of town. But we were in Los Angeles here. We moved into this club, and he didn't have the whole week booked in advance. He was just setting things up, and he asked me. He said, "How about that guitar night that you've been doing? Do you think that would work here?" And I said, "Yeah, well, I guess it would." And I never pushed him. We started, and I thought, well, I want to put this thing together, start with somebody that is special. It was George Van Epps.
That's pretty special.
Yeah, he did the first one. Well, he's been special in many ways through my growing up and up to before he died, you know. And but he is very strong in my mind all the time, and I admired his ability technically, harmonically. He was an amazing man and a beautiful guy, you know. Anyway, so we started with George Van Epps, and that was the beginning. I think Guitar Night lasted about 22 years. And we've been called to do Baked Potato, where we did the very last one, March 3rd, 2020. That was just when the onset of the virus came in, and everything just fell apart, you know. So we, you know, it was just because all the clubs folded up, and so we did that shortly before even, and I had set up, you know, very early in the start of Guitar Night. I remember meeting this kid, Lee Rittenauer. And he was, you know, he was
this kid.
He played his buns off. I mean, he was unbelievable technically. He was a master at everything. Reading, he could read anything in front of him, you know. And he's still around, but right at that point, they canceled his 3-month tour of Japan and the Philippines, not the Philippines, yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, well, anyway, so it was affecting everybody, you know, even guys that did recording, that just stopped because, you know, it's hard to play guitar with a mask on. I find a problem.
So the format of Guitar Night, as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had a regular quartet, I guess, that played, you know, you and 3 guys, a rhythm section or 2 guys, and then you had a guest guitarist.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty, you know, and you'd have people, you know, people come in and like you were talking about George Van Epps.
Yeah, so I'll come back to that. Yeah, want to talk a little bit, you know, give you guys a chance to talk. Yeah, let's see. Oh, Armando Campion is here. He worked with Bobby Pierce last Friday. And Victor Lindheim. I miss Barry and his music. No one on the bandstand ever played with so much joy. Hi, Pat, Kelly.
Hi, Cathy, and everyone.
I should go look for you guys playing with Barry or John Pisano too. Do you guys, all you guitar players? Oh, somebody's sound is echoing.
Don't you love Zoom?
Okay, well, we'll
gotta go, everybody. It's been great to meet you all. I miss you terribly. Let's start a new Guitar Night.
You know what? I have a guitar night starting at Kulak's Woodshed.
Okay, well then, you know, you got my number. When you get through with all the good guys, call me.
Okay. Wait, Bruce, before you go,
Yes.
I absolutely love your video of you playing with your dog.
Bruce, before you
Oh.
go, I absolutely love your video.
Yeah, she's expensive. I can't really bring her, I don't think.
Okay.
You have to talk to her. You have to talk to her agent.
Okay.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay.
All right. I'm just curious, does anyone have their Facebook on their phone on?
I'm curious, does anyone have their Facebook on their phone on? Curious, does anyone have their...
I think if everybody muted, you could figure it out.
Yes. I'm Erwin, I'm going to mute you guys.
Yes.
Hello.
Erwin, I'm going to mute you guys.
Okay, I'm going to mute me.
Erwin, I'm going to mute you guys. I'm going to mute me.
Okay, so Pat Kelly, I'm going to try muting you. Okay. That sounds, there's no echo. Pat, unmute yourself. Hello?
Am I unmuted now?
You're unmuted.
Okay.
I think it might be something on your side, echoing.
Something on your side.
Maybe Pat's on the Facebook page as well.
That's on the Facebook page.
Do you have the Facebook?
Where should I be?
Well, you should be only on Zoom.
You have the Facebook. Where should I be?
I thought that I was. But,
You have the Facebook. I thought that I was.
well, I can get off, and if that's the cause, let's see.
You might be on Facebook still because that's how you came on, right?
Yeah.
You might be on Facebook still because that's how you came on.
This is what an entire year of teaching was like online.
Well, I'll have to
who's
figure out
echo-
how to do it the other way then.
Go
Well-
to audio settings.
Just try and close out of your Facebook because you're on Zoom, so that's where you're connected with us. That's good. Oh. Anyway, you know, when John was talking about March 2020, that was when Barry passed as well.
You know, when John was talking about March 2020, that was when Barry passed.
So I do have I have a Pat Kelly on guitar night here. I don't know if I have a Larry Kuntz or Jamie Rosen on here. What do you think? Okay. You can talk.
Yeah, I need to chill on some other commitments right now, but
You can talk.
Okay. Yeah, John Story and Beth Marlis had to leave too.
Okay.
Want to say anything else, Larry?
John's putting Beth Marlis.
yeah, unfortunately, I have to go too. I'm teaching right now, but this has been wonderful just to get a little slice of Barry again and remember him. It was for Malika. My heart goes out to you because it's such a difficult time to lose someone that you really love, because those 2 years, you know, after the lockdown, were so isolating for all of us, and it was so strange. I mean, Putter Smith went through the same thing with his wife VR, and you know, in a way, we all have not had closure in a lot of.
I really appreciate you saying that the way you did, because my main wish, and even just coming together today, is just to express my desire to still, I have it in my mind that we are still going to have a real live music celebration for my dad. in life. And I just keep feeling like the years are like slipping. Really, it's really, really surreal, especially because he passed. And, you know, a lot of you were very present that day. And Cathy, you were there that day in the hospital when we luckily could be together in the hospital. Thank goodness I could be with him. But that night was it was crazy, you know. I really think that that's really my dad's gift, is like he had insane timing, you know. Like he could really feel timing very intuitively. And it was almost like as soon as he closed the door, that was it. The world has never been the same, literally, ever again. I mean, the night was the next day, California lockdown, I wouldn't have been able to go to the hospital. And ever since, I keep kind of waiting for like the right time. And I just realized I need help with that. I would love to have some, just a big guitar night where everyone comes somewhere and plays, and maybe we're in someone's backyard or something, you know, that's big enough for all the people who really loved him to be present, because I don't feel like I've had closure. I have so many dreams about him still, so vivid. They're so real. And I just feel like that's the missing piece. And I also think so much, Cathy, about when my grandmother passed away, and her funeral was like that. It was just a big jazz celebration. And I remember thinking like, that's the celebration that we really still need to have for his life. So I'm so glad that we have this medium, this like strange, you know, audio visual medium, that at least we can be together. But at the same time, like musically, like Jamie just said, you know, when you're trying to actually play and teach and like really have music on Zoom, it's you know, it's just not quite there yet. So I really hope that you all will help me. If anyone has a good idea, you know, and like, I'm willing to, you know, spend some money on it. It doesn't have to be like a full on like free space or anything. It just something that feels right. And
there's bagels with cream cheese. I am there.
Yeah.
Let's get some food.
We'll totally be bagels and cream
All
cheese.
the guitar players will show up.
I totally hear where you're coming from, Malika. We need to be in the same space and celebrate Barry. Yeah. Much love to you all. Unfortunately, I have to go.
Thank you so much for coming today, Larry. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Bye, Larry.
Think a lot about you. Bye, Jamie. See you,
Bye, Larry.
Cathy.
Bye.
Malika.
If I could say something real quick, just about Barry and John as well. Both of these guys are in my life incredibly consequential. I feel like my situation with guitar night, I feel like I'm the only one with a guitar night baby, where I met my wife through guitar night. My wife's best friends with Malika, and because of Larry, who I studied with 25, 30 years ago. I don't know. I'm like newly old, I feel like. So I'm spending a lot of time talking about the how it used to be and what, my students are all, I feel sorry for my.
That's funny.
But because of, Larry sort of advocating for me, I think, Pisano asked me to do a guitar night, and that was a real sort of, it's a real coming of age experience. I used to go see everyone at guitar night when I was a student, and I don't know how or why he asked me to play, but I was thrilled and nervous, and felt a real sense of acceptance. and he asked me back. He kept asking me back, which was really nice to become part of this community, meet all these folks that I had seen play, and play for them, and get give them a sense of what I do. And Barry, of course, was always incredibly gracious with his compliments. One thing about Barry is he's so easy to conjure. It's almost like he never left. You can all what he would do in any situation. His laugh and his infectiousness. And I used to see Barry at Chadney's, that old watering hole. And that's where I met Malika when she was probably a kid, probably in high school or something like that. And all these, these serendipitous events sort of led to, I think the first night that Pisano played at Spazio, when he brought out Joe Pass's guitar and called me and said, asked, hey, we're having a bunch of guitar players over, want to come by? And it was sort of like, maybe, and I just happened to get get it together to get in the car and find parking and all that stuff that is terrible to do in LA. And that's when I met Chelsea, my wife, who was sitting with Malika, and they asked me to play Body and Soul, and we played and hung out. And I just sort of think about, if any of these events all along the way did not happen, I wouldn't have had my really wonderful family life, which is I'm the happiest about. It's my biggest accomplishment. And it's sort of all because of Pisano and Barry and Larry and all these things. And I often think about, if I had just decided to stay home and practice or not practice, where would I be right now? And sorry?
I just wanted to say that was one of the best nights ever. I will always remember it. My dad was really, really sick. This is when he was really sick, like a long time ago, 15 years ago, the first time. And he still was there at guitar night that night when you and Larry and even Anthony was there that night.
Mm-hmm. And
you and Larry and Anthony were like, I was so worried about my dad, but he was like, it's fine. He's up there playing. And the three of you had me and Chelsea laughing so hard. It was like the most amazing testimony to like what music, it's so healing and so magical. And you are so funny. You and Larry, I will never.
That was so fun. After when Larry actually walked me to my car and he said, I think that girl likes you.
Uh-huh.
I was saying to her the same thing. I was like, I think Jamie's into you. Meanwhile, our
good, Jamie.
sons are big music lovers and big friends. So it's pretty cool.
Hi, Dennis.
Dennis.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Everybody, good to be here.
Have any good Pisano or Zweig stories? Pat,
I met Barry at a birthday party for Del Bennett, Christine Rosenthal's partner, and this was in the like 84, 85, and I had just seen Barry play at the $2 bill on Franklin Avenue in Hollywood, and I don't know how it came up, but I traded acupuncture for Donna's wrist pain. She was handling equipment that was heavy, some photography stuff, and man, I was in heaven. And I would, get some lessons from Barry, and we stayed friends. But it was a whole different time of life.
Yeah, sure was. Yeah. What about you, Pat? Pisano and Barry.
Yeah, I was around Pisano and Barry both a lot. I mean, I did so many guitar nights myself. I think probably about 50 over the course of the 22 years, because I probably did it a couple of times a year, and then I went out a lot to hear a lot of the other guys like Jamie and Larry and everybody else, all these great players. I mean, it was fantastic, and yeah, Barry was just a great rooter for this guitar community. Also, I mean, John and Barry both, but like it's already been said, you know, his spirit of camaraderie was so great and everything. I used to call Barry up, this is quite a few years ago, and even you know, just to shoot the breeze and talk over stuff. I call him up and say, hey, what do you play on this tune? What chords do you play through this section of this tune here? It'd be some tune where people would play a lot of different versions or whatever. And yeah, it was always a blast. He was just so gregarious about it, and willing to just talk about everything he could talk about on that. It was just always a lot of fun. And he's, gosh, he was so fun and so complimentary as well, as Jamie said, you know, just he wanted to make everybody feel special, and he certainly did. Yeah, I hope you'll play that beautiful song you wrote for Barry.
Oh yeah.
During this, I was not just because I was honored for you to ask me to play on it, but I love the song. I think it's a fabulous song.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I can't forget you.
Yeah, it's kind of a tearjerker.
Yeah, so this, I'll just play it. This is, I wrote this song right after Barry passed, and and John Leftwich, the bassist, and Pat played it, and it was, you guys just did the most beautiful job on this. It was just really special, really nice. So here it is. I can't forget you. Oh, and let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to locate it. Let's see. Let me try this again. It's somewhere special, I know. Well, let's see. My computer's going, I think I'm gonna go real slow here. So I'm gonna open that again. I can't forget you. Okay. I can't forget you. Let's try this one. Well, you guys have to talk because I have to go look for it for some reason.
Well, one special moment, John Pisano actually gave me his recipe for his pizza dough. Now, I don't know if he's done that to very many people, but he was always famous for his pizza dough, as some of you might know.
I mean,
maybe he gave it to everybody, and I just feel really special. But I don't know, but I think it was supposed to be sort of secretive. And I remember we were at his house once, one of the many times I've been over there, and he wrote this down, and I still have it someplace. I was just thinking about that the other day, saying I better not have lost that.
Now that you've made that public, Pat, that mafia coming to your door.
John may be mad at me for saying that.
The Italian jazz mafia.
Yeah. No, everybody.
The only time I remember
pizza.
eating at John and Jean's, it was having pizza. Like that's totally the thing. I remember.
Yeah.
That.
I remember hearing.
Yeah, that's why he was famous for that, and he knew I like to cook also. So that's probably why.
I remember hearing stories about him inviting all his the students from CSUN over and having pizza. And I was always jealous. I was just teaching at CSUN alongside her. I never got invited. But,
all in the dough, you know.
Oh man.
One of my I don't know, one of the things that always blows me away about John is just how he's been around everyone in the, in the industry. Or, being doing a guitar night with him,
Yeah.
and, figuring out what tune you're going to play is always, it can be a little stressful or not. You just never know what's going to happen. And usually it's going to be, have you met Miss Jones or something somewhat garden variety. And one time John said, he called Stablemates, the Benny Golson tune, which is a challenging tune, sort of modern, and something I wouldn't think that John would know. And I said, wow, John, like, I didn't know you knew that. And you know who taught me that tune? Eric Dolphy. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's right. He played with Eric Dolphy with Chico Hamilton, and it was just one of those things. And it was fun. And with Stablemates, I have another story about it. The first time I played Stablemates, Larry Kuntz brought a chart for that at school with an ensemble, and I got lost every single chorus, and afterwards I said, I was like, Larry, what? I got lost every single chorus. What was happening? He's like, you were playing AABA instead of ABA. And I was like, oh, why didn't you tell me? He said, because it says so on the chart. oh, there's a lesson right there, Anyway. And then one other thing about Barry and Guitar Night, there was one time when John could not make it, and so Barry was hosting and asked me to do it, and Barry wanted to get together and do like a little rehearsal and just run down some tunes, and it just sort of wound up, we were just sort of jamming, and he asked me about some sort of chord or something, and I had been just hardcore teaching for years and years and years. And I just sort of went into my teacher voice lesson plan, and well, Barry, this is a mode, and what this mode is. And he said, I know what a mode is, And I had to catch my thought. That's right. It's Barry.
Yeah.
Okay, I found my song. Here it is. Here's the song. It's attached to the little video that I had made too. The beautiful Pat Kelly. I can't forget you, the way your eyes lit up the room. I can't forget the way your smile embraced all who knew you, the way your laughter touched all the hearts nearby. Your kindness touched all our lives and made us cry. I can't forget you. I'll always think of you and smile. I'll always hold you in my heart and feel the love that is you. And when I speak your name, I'll stop and brush a tear away. I won't forget you. You'll be with me always. forget you, not till my dying Oh boy, that's a hard one. Oh,
Beautiful song, Cathy.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's really, you guys played it so beautifully too. It was really nice. But it was so true, you know. I know when it's really, when the words ring true, because that's when you get the real knife, right? Right, Malika? Oh my God, it's like, oh, that line. Yeah. Special human. And Pisano, special human. It's like, it's really, we were, you know, looking at all of the guitar night guys. I mean, just, and thinking about all the years that we have been creating this jazz community here. And, you know, wonderful people, great music, supporting in all kinds of ways, emotional and musical. And we've just been really, it's been quite the life, you know. It's been a really huge blessing that we've had in this community. Hi, Chelsea, hi. We heard about you on the night you met.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
I just walked in from a doctor's appointment and I was listening in the background. Just
And this is our son, Ben.
Immediately
Good
cried.
work.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Wow, your dog really like wants to talk to you, man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
My goodness.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Pisano too. I remember many years ago when the Come Back In was around. You guys remember that? The Come Back In? And that was a really funky little place in Venice Beach. And I remember Pisano played with me, and I was doing a lot of originals at that time. Remember, there was like way back, we were doing a lot of originals in LA. I don't even know if we were doing that many standard gigs, but we were definitely doing a lot of original stuff. And I was so blown away that John was on the gig. I was so totally blown away. You know, his musical contribution was so, you know, it made the music so gorgeous. Just great. I think Tony Dumas was the bass player, maybe.
That was on Washington Place, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I remember that.
Let's see. I have Jeff Whiteman here, Frederic Loiseau from France, who actually I just met this year. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Hey, Pat, I'm really sorry, but I met a whole bunch of French guitar players. Sorry, I'm now in love with French guitar players, jazz guitar players. Fred is one. There's Tommy Peltier and Mark Goldstein. We have, yeah, Dan had posted some cool stuff we can listen. Bruce Foreman with John at the NAMM show. Actually, a guitar night with Jamie Rosen. And a guitar night with Pat. Yeah. Oh. Let's see. I'm really curious to hear a little bit of this Bruce Foreman thing. I wonder if the sound's good. Let's check it out a little bit, and then we'll. Wow. Oh, that was the opening. All right, I'm gonna actually go from to the other ones too, because I think we should.
That's at the NAM show Eastman booth, I can tell.
That's right. That's what it is.
Yeah, you can hear the noise of the NAM show too, but I can tell the booth, all those Eastman guitars there.
Yeah. And here is a little of Jamie Rosen and on Guitar Night. Let's see. Wow, that was really good too. I'm just gonna try and go to the other one. That was a very noisy room, huh?
It was like the basement room at Vitello's or something for us.
Oh,
There's some side room there that they had us in before they had us upstairs.
yeah. This one. Let's see what this one is. Is this also guitar night? Viva Cantina. John, Pat, John Belzaguy, and Kendall K.
Goes back a while.
Oh man, sounds good. Yeah. And then John Bell's guy, not to be rude to the bass player, but boy, that was swinging. Boy, you guys sounded, both Jamie and Pat, you sounded really good.
Yeah, always a blast to play on a guitar night, right, Jamie?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's always a fun night to look forward to. Just
Yeah.
and then seeing all the other guys that would come in too and hang, and
Totally.
it's fun being there even on the nights when we weren't the guests, just to see all these great guys every week.
Pat, did you have a favorite favorite room of guitar night? Which
Probably when it was at Spazio, particularly before they moved the stage. in the early days, I don't know if you remember, they had the stage more in the bar area, not over on that side where the restaurant was. They tried to expand it and make bigger stage, but it was so cool and intimate. And the guitar hang was especially incredible at that time because everybody come in, they had pretty large bar area there, and then some tables also, so that was, I thought, the sweetest part of the 5 or 6 different places that it was. It was okay when they moved the stage over to the other place, but it was especially great in those early days there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I feel like the Viva Cantina one was sort of like a loose hang, and I feel like the regulars sort of appreciated that one, like just the hanging out factor the most. You could.
Yeah, that was fun there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the one at Spazio's because you could really hear the music well.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice.
Well, that one the clip that you played, the Vitello's, was the worst. That room was like so loud.
Yeah.
And I remember, Malika, do you remember your mom having some issue at Vitello's? I just remember her yelling at a waitress and walking out. Before she walked out, she said, "Well, you know what happens here is people's wives get murdered."
Oh man! Oh man, that's cool.
I was there. I don't know.
You don't remember that? We'll have to phone Donna in.
I think she's watching on Facebook. But that is hilarious because we all know that story.
She is here. She said happy birthday to Bear, to my old sweetheart and previous husband. I was thinking of playing just like a little bit of this, this just to hear Barry talk. That's the one thing about people who have gone. I feel them around me, but I would just love to hear them talk, And this one says it's a bebop blues send-off lesson, and I'd like to just hear them talk a little. Hi.
I want to show you a B-flat blues send-off today, and a send-off is kind of like a riff. This one I'm doing is one I just played. It uses contrary motion. There's a line going up and a line going down, and it gets you from the bar 1 to bar 5. They go from the tonic chord or the B-flat chord in key of B-flat to the 5th bar, which would be an E-flat chord, E-flat dominant chord. And it's kind of a neat little lick in the style of Count Basie band. And I want to break it down and show it to you.
Yeah, I guess that was it. Okay, it's so nice to hear him talk. I used to call him up with questions about. I always knew I could say, "Can you take a look at this song? I want to do it." I think he did that with "This Is Always," and he would just redo it for me, send it over, like that was it. And then I had this beautiful, beautiful reharmonized chart. One funny thing I remember about like years and years and years ago when Alphonse's was open, and Barry and we had already known each other, but there was this one funny moment where we saw each other, and we were probably about, 12 feet away or 15 feet away, and we started walking towards each other, and we started taking off our coats. Apparently it was cold, so we had these heavy coats on. We started taking off our coats, walking towards each other. That was just a really fun moment that I remember with Bear.
You scared me there for a minute. Thought you were going to say clothes and not coat.
No.
I was going to say what?
Really.
My mind.
Well, that was kind of, the idea, but,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, and Dan was mentioning there was an interview with Barry and Ron Anthony. Ron Anthony, of course, was such a good friend of Barry's, too. And they used to play a lot together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they knew each other forever. They were like brothers.
Yeah.
Really knew each other forever. I'm kind of glad in a way that, well, I can't talk anymore. But
It's okay. You breathe when you can talk again.
can you send me that song, Cathy? Because I have to make sure that I have that for Giacomo.
Sure. Yeah, I'll send you that. Yeah.
And never play that again, okay?
Oh.
I know. It's kind of a rough one to watch again.
You gotta wrap that at the end and then say
Yeah.
goodbye.
Brought a tear to my eye too.
That was beautiful, really beautifully played. It's just I know Ron was having some, as was my dad, end of life kind of mindset, like,
Yeah.
or you're sort of like, kind of open to whatever it is. Ron was having memory issues, and I feel like they had such a great brotherhood. And I mean, John Pisano is, the thing is, he has genes, so I think he may outlive me. I hope not. But he's just like completely in for the long haul. And I mean, God bless him. I think all like I said, I really think that like all of you are so lucky to be able to have this kind of timeless musical connection that really strings through life, and it always felt like when I see my dad play with Ron Anthony, or when I would see Ron and John, or my dad with John, it just felt like they went back to like there are these really youthful, kind of ageless creatures,
Yeah. They have this real universe together. Yeah. I can imagine that when you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I think the guys that love it, and like Barry and John and Ron Anthony, who I loved also. I mean, it does transcend age, sort of, because you want to just keep doing. I mean, I remember like John, probably not more than like a year ago, us talking and him saying, I'm figuring out. I think I'm figuring out this certain picking thing that he's working on. Of course I'm kidding him, but I said, man, it's about time, like he's already, you don't need to do anything else, you're already great. but you're still experimenting with this and that, trying to figure out, hey, I could do something different that's maybe better already at this point. I just saw John about I guess about a month ago, probably at most, and yeah, it was fantastic to see him. Went over to his place and got to hang out a little bit, and yeah, he sounded, was doing great.
Yeah.
So
He would have come today, but he had a little fall a few days ago, and hurt his arm, so he wasn't really up to,
Hopefully he's watching. I'll give him a call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Ron Eschte was in your wonderful crowd of, I mean, there's so many people, Jim Fox, and God, it goes on and on and on. It's quite the crew, you know? Quite.
Cathy, do you have a copy of Bob Berry's Guitar Night book?
I do.
Okay, good. I was going to say I have one for you if that I could
Oh,
give
thank
you
you
if you
so
don't
much.
have it, because
I got two
I
for
have
some
an extra one.
reason. I guess everybody gets two somehow.
Glad you got it.
Seriously. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it would be nice to hear if John had a Ted Green and a Ted Green, night. That would be really nice to hear too. I don't know if that exists. Dan, would you go look for me? And but one funny thing that Barry once said to me, if you guys know John Stowell, the guitar
Yeah.
player,
Yeah.
who has a very kind of European look, right? He's very slender face and kind of long. And Barry said to me, John was raised by deer. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Oh
He's
God.
another phenomenal guitarist, though, actually, in his own special way. Yeah, he's very unique and incredible. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah. There's so many great guitar players on the planet, like doing these shows, these noontime shows. I've just I mean, there were several that were kind of along the George Van Epps, Ted Green line. There's a few in Japan who just really sound great. Who's that guy in New Orleans? He's really good.
Phil DeGray,
Yeah.
right? Or DeGrew, however you say his last name. Yeah, really unique. I
Wow.
think he might have done Guitar Night like once or twice, maybe, or something when he was.
Oh,
Yeah, he was really good, really unusual.
very incredible. Then there's a bunch of French guitar players. Like I said, I got introduced to them through Tierney's husband.
Yeah, Serge.
Yeah, Serge Merlot, who's
He's
really
really good.
technical player. And then I met Fred, who I really should have known, Fred Loiseau. He knew Jamie Finley pretty well too. And then there's Thomas. I can't remember his last name. And I introduced. I don't know. There's the French guys. It surprised me just because I hadn't really looked in France for musicians particularly. And wow, there's a lot of really great jazz musicians in Paris. Really nice, very tasteful.
I met Serge Merlot. He came over to my place once when he was in town, and we played some, and I loved him. Man, he was so easy to play with. I always wanted to play more with him if the opportunity presents itself at some point. But I found one of the easier guys to play with in a duo. Just great time and just real good taste.
Yeah,
What he played.
very good. Really, really nice. Thanks, Fred. The other guitarist was Thomas Corbillon. It took me a while to say that correctly. John Prue says hi and happy birthday to Barry and John. And Donna thinks that Pat looks like Barry on this Zoom.
Well, could be worse.
Then, of course, there was Jimmy Weibel and Joe Diorio. And I remember a few shows, tributes and shows, the send-off to Joe Diorio, and Tommy Tedesco was there at GIT.
Al Viola.
Oh, Al Viola.
Frank Potenza.
Yep.
So many good guys.
Yeah.
Jimmy Weibel used to have that tea room
yeah.
gig. I know, Dennis, I used to see you there all the time.
Yeah.
And that was sort of a guitar hang as well, and I would see Barry there a lot, and of course Jimmy was incredible to sort of watch come out of retirement and back into the, amazing to see him sort of double his proficiency every week. He was incredible. And I remember someone was posting videos from those on YouTube a lot, and there was one of me and Barry playing duo that I downloaded before Barry made them take it down. I was playing Ron Anthony's beautiful D'Angelico from the 30s or something like that. It's this incredible guitar that's worth something like $50,000. It's a beautiful guitar, and Barry had brought in a solid body Ibanez, and he was not happy about it. And we played this duo, and they posted it, and Barry made them take it down. The best part of the video,
I remember that.
The best part of the video was at a certain point we're playing, and in the background you see Jimmy Weibel sort of very slowly get up and sort of shuffle to the door and sort of open the door for these two ladies that were coming in. And Jimmy was, he was just the most charming guy, and please come in, to these two ladies who just wanted to kibitz and have some tea, and he said, please enjoy the music and sit. It was great. And then shuffle back to his seat.
Going there with my dad, and I think sometimes Ted Mayer would come and hear Jimmy there at that tea room, and I really, the impression that I have and the memory I have, even just the way my dad would talk about Jimmy Weibel, it was like there were all these guitar players, alive and past, all of these guitar players that he loved, that he really, really loved. But the way he talked about Jimmy Weibel was sort of, just even more special and just more reverent, because, and I think Jamie said it so beautifully, it's because he was just such a beautiful human. He was never thinking of himself. And
well, that's about Jimmy is that, as unique as his guitar playing was, and it was incredibly unique. No one plays
like that. He plays like, it doesn't even sound like a guitar. It sounds like I don't even understand, the harmonies are like otherworldly.
Who knows? Yeah. But so, as unique as that is, really his personality was so special and warm and welcoming, and he just sort of had no qualms giving it up for people, and I think that Barry was the same way, just very, very encouraging. But Jimmy especially, almost to a fault, to tell you the truth, I feel like Jimmy, he could have talked himself up a little more.
I felt the same way about my dad too. I think that was, he didn't easily accept praise, even though he was very confident in his playing. He knew he was extremely confident in his playing, and he knew he could play anything anyone would give him, and he would happily play with anyone and support that other musician. But there was never he was not so easy in accepting success. And I think Jimmy was humble in that way too.
I think it was Sid Jacobs who was telling me that he found that tea room gig, and he brought Jimmy kind of out to, he asked him if he wanted to do that gig. I think it was Sid Jacobs who said that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish someone would do that. That would be such a cool thing to be able to go.
To do what?
Does that ever happen anymore?
You mean
like at the tea room?
Little gigs where they don't pay you? That happens a lot.
That's the problem.
Well, this new place that I'm starting to book jazz at, Kulak's Woodshed. So that's at Laurel Canyon and Magnolia. And so I'm starting at least one night a week. I mean, one night a month for guitar night. And so the first guitar night, it's the third Thursday every month. So the first one has Will Brom and Andrew Renfro. And Tom Rizzo is going to play with Kenny Wilde and Kendall Kay.
Nice.
And Beth Marlis is going to play in the summer. Pat Kelly is playing with John Leftwich. And any other guitar players could, tell me they want to play. Not just with me. Jamie.
Jamie.
Anyway, so we're doing that. So I'm just beginning everything. I'm hoping that the room I mean, it's an easy room to play and easy to come to, and kind of a fascinating room because it's kind of like being on a TV set, because the owner makes these really great professional live edited videos. So while you're sitting in the room, they actually do stuff like, okay, 10, 9, 8, it's like being on a set. And it's really great. The only issue is that the place does not sell food and liquor. And so, I mean, they have some donation snacks and stuff. But so the only way he makes money is in these evenings. And so it's a little, I'm testing the waters with various kind of formats. But but I did get a great piano in there. Really great. Yamaha 7-foot. So that's like a real extra nice. And the sound is very good in the room. It's kind of a weird, it's like the set of a TV in that it's almost like going into a secondhand shop. You see all these different things. And it's very comfortable, very cozy. It only holds 49 seats. And it's in a good location. Parking's cool. But guitar night, at least once a month, hopefully more. Be nice to have more. By the way, did I say it was named Kulak's? Kulak's Woodshed. Yeah.
It's amazing. You're single-handedly like bringing venues to life, Cathy, after these 3 years,
Well, I'm delegating too, though. I've learned I have to delegate because.
Okay, so not single-handedly.
Right. But I have to say that a lot of times over the years I get these ideas, and half the people think it's really cool, and half the people just kind of say, nah, it'll never work. And they always work, but some of the people don't want to be involved and some do. And that's what it is, But it doesn't stop me from going forward because, I mean, like we need another place to play, right? I mean, we do, especially after the pandemic, Yeah, I feel I wouldn't be involved in this if I didn't really like the owner and really think the place was worthwhile, because I just, I mean, I don't really need something else to do, but I really do like the owner. The owner's really a cool guy, and he's had this place for 23 years, through a lot of stuff. And mostly he's supported singer-songwriters and acoustic rock and blues, and with the occasional jazz people. Pat, I don't know if you ever played there, did you?
I remember that I did play there, I think once with Diane Hubka. I had forgotten about that until I started thinking about it. I said, oh yeah, that is the place, because I remember all these things, all everywhere in there. It was kind of really cool. That was a few years ago, probably. I don't know how long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I also played there once. And I was thinking about it like before I met Paul again about 2 months ago. I thought, I wonder why I didn't go back there or why we didn't create something in the jazz community there. I have no idea. I guess I don't know. Just, it's
Well,
interesting. Maybe
thanks for doing it. You're a hero for doing that.
Pat Kelly's coming. That's so cool. I love it. I bet there'll be a lot of people coming to visit you at that
I'm
place.
gonna call a bunch of people up and tell
My
them
mom,
to come down.
my mom is saying to say hi to Erwin and Denise.
Hi.
Oh,
Well, we have to leave because believe it or not, we ran out of juice on our laptop. Before we rudely get cut off, we're going to say goodbye. And
Bye.
Cathy, thank you for doing this. It's such a beautiful thing that you continue this. It's really,
Malika, thanks so much for inviting us to Barry's birthday.
Love you guys.
oh, love you. We'll
And,
call you.
it brought back great memories of
Aw.
growing up with Barry in Detroit and our great times together in LA.
Yeah.
So this was great fun, and thanks so much, Cathy.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Yeah, we got
Bye.
it.
Well, actually, and we're at our 2 hour mark, so I'll take this opportunity to say thanks everybody for coming. Thanks you guys for being on, and thank you people for listening and on Facebook and posting stuff for us to go look at. Barry's definitely smiling wherever he is. He's sending out some good vibes here, and John Pisano, we wish you well. We hope that your arm heals up, and that Jeannie, you're doing well, taking care of John. I know you are.
Thanks, Cathy.
Thanks, Cathy.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
See you
Bye, guys.
later. Happy birthday.